Hello students, welcome to the Arshad Bhutta official YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss some basic terminologies of accounting, and one of them is expense. So in today's this short video, I am going to discuss what is expense. So let's start. What is the definition of expense? Expense is a cost which is incurred to generate a revenue. It means if we will bifurcate this definition, one word is cost and the other important word is incurred, and the third word is generation of revenue. So cost means there is outflow of resources. So every cost is not an expense. The cost against which you are supposed to generate revenue, that is an expense. So any cost which is incurred with an intent to generate revenue is an expense. Or it can be elaborated, it is an outflow of resources. So it is an outflow of resources, as I discussed earlier, that the cost is an outflow of resources. So it is an outflow of resources of an entity with an intent, with an objective to earn revenue. So both definitions are giving us the same idea. And the third definition is it is a cost against which entity have attained its desired benefit. So what is the desired benefit? The benefit to generate revenue. So any cost against which you have got the benefit, that is expense. Now this definition, third definition, is equally applicable either to business entities, either to non-business entities. For instance, uh, you have uh, got a card of cellular service, say Telenor, for rupees 100, and there is assumption no tax deduction by the government. From that card, if you used 20 rupees balance against which you have called to someone, so here you have attained your desired benefit for rupees 20. That is your expense. Your cost is outflow of resources is of rupees 100. Or it could be there is another possibility, future promise of outflow of resources. For instance, if you have bought that card from shopkeeper on credit for 5 days, it means there is an outflow of resources, but when in future time period after 5 days you will pay to that shopkeeper. Okay, so the objective of this third definition is that it is equally applicable to business entity, equally applicable to non-business entities. Got it? Uh, Now, where to record your expense? That is important. And how to record your expense. First of all, I'm going to discuss how to record your expense. That is, there is a journal entry. There are two possibilities. One is it is a cash transaction. In that case, expense account debit. What sort of the nature of the expense or the name of expense you will use that. And cash account credit, that is outflow of resources, decrease in asset. Cash is decrease in asset. Okay. Or when it is a credit transaction, then your liability will increase, but your outflow of resources will occur in future. Debit, expense, and credit, payables. Now, next discussion is uh, where to present or record your expense. It is always presented in your statement of profit and loss, which is also called income statement. Business expenses and revenues are always recorded in statement of profit and loss, and statement of profit and loss is used to measure what? Financial performance of the business. Financial performance of the business. Okay. So expense is always presented where? In statement of profit and loss, which is also called income statement. Now, what are the types of expenses? First one is cost of goods sold expenses. These are the costs, are the expenses those you have incurred to sell your goods from which you are supposed to generate revenue. Then selling expenses. This is how to promote your sales. Like if you have a burger shop, you are giving the free delivery. So that is selling expense. Or you have made advertisement that this is the burger which we are offering. So that is selling expenses. All the expenses, those are incurred to increase your sales. Then admin expenses. The expenses, those are incurred to meet day-to-day operations of the business. These two expenses, selling expenses and admin expenses in common are called operating expenses, expenses incurred by the business for its operation, for its operations. Then financial expenses, the expenses incurred to get finances. These, like its example is interest expense. Then non-operating expenses, all the expenses those are not incurred for operations, all other expenses in total are called non-operating expenses. So financial expenses are one example of non-operating expenses. Then non-cash expenses, the expenses those are incurred against which there is no outflow of cash. Its example is depreciation. Against depreciation, you don't have any cash outflow. Okay, so these are the different types of expenses. Now, let's discuss some examples of expenses. First one is rent expense, the expense of your building. Then bad debts, it is also an example of expense, like the money which you are supposed to receive from your customers, and that you are not able to collect, that is called bad debts expense. Then insurance expenses you have incurred to ensure your assets are employees. Then interest expense, finance generated related expenses, expense incurred to get the loans. Depreciation, that is the in general it is called wear and tear. It is a systematic allocation of depreciable amount of the useful of the PPE, property, plant and equipment. Depreciation is a wear and tear of your property, plant and equipment. Then we have commissions. We are paying commissions to someone who is selling your products, your sales teams related expense. Then wages and salaries. These are the wages or salaries you are paying to your employees. These are some examples. There are a lot more other examples. So these are just for your understanding purpose. So in today's session, we have discussed what is expense, how to record expense, where to present expense, what are the types of expenses, and what are the examples of expenses. Thank you very much. I hope you may have enjoyed my lecture. If you have enjoyed, kindly subscribe my YouTube channel and press bell icon that you will get the notification for my latest lectures about different topics, and also share to your friends. Thank you very much.